Hey guys, hope you all enjoyed your weekend and having a great Sunday. Today's analysis, we're going to be taking a look at gold, US oil, and Bitcoin as usual. If it's the first time you're just joining us, then I find this content very helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you want to learn how to trade like professional Forex trader or like what we do here at NFXL, then subscribe to our membership plan on nfxl.com and also join our Discord community where we give daily and real-time market updates. Okay, with that being said, let's get on chat. So the first chart we're going to be talking about today is gold, which we always start with. Now, following from our last week chat, we created this pattern and this channel that we identified on our daily time frame, and gold has been falling off of this channel, which became more obvious from following the last week markets. And I did this unexpected also to get this breakout above this rectangular uh, consolidations phase, which we did. We saw a good breakout last week over 29.84. Now we didn't really get a major pullback to retest the breakout zone. We just get a continuation of that chart, and there's a typical movement. So I'm still expecting us to see more bullish movement from gold. As usual, whenever we get a market situation like this, we often take the height of the rectangular formation, which gives us the potential target profit or target level which the price is going to reach after the breakout. So thinking that we should get something like this. Now I was expecting us to see this movement happen. That was last week, but following over the market, we didn't get that. We only saw market reach half the length of the current consolidation, the last consolidation we had. That tells us that there's a possibility for us to see more bullish momentum coming up soon, because the market is still there's still a lot of momentum coming up from the market. There's not something anything special that would have said I've dropped the bullish momentum on gold, nothing like that. So we still expect more bullish movement, but following this channel that we identified, we can clearly see after this first two eyes, we can clearly see that there's a possibility for us a short-term price rejection here and pull back downwards, probably towards this level before we see price ascend again to reach this particular level. But not until the target has been reached, it's always going to be to stay with the chart pattern. If we get this target achieved quickly, then we can start looking for a possible correction towards the lower part of the trend or the channel. But for now, we haven't seen that been achieved, so we'll just have like another confluence zone um, around this cycle here. So we just have to watch carefully what the market is going to do in this week and following days, and see the best step of action to take. So for now, like I said, no, we're not taking any sell. We rather just wait for a pullback and buy more, or we just wait to see price achieve targets. I'm thinking especially to see gold hit like 3,100 at least, following up the breakout. And if that doesn't happen, then we have to wait for the pullback retest. That's the most likely scenario. This is the daily chart on gold, and this is what we're working with right now. So um, nothing else has changed from our last week. Following the breakout, we saw this, and I think if you want to work the larger scale, let's go on a weekly. We could see market is still very bullish. Those all grains and nothing special negative, but that's too far back. So let's take with our daily chart and let's see what happens this week on gold. So the next chart we're going to be looking at is US oil. Now, similarly to gold, US oil has been in the same corrective state. We saw the last week US crude oil inventory report. It wasn't very spectacular. I mean, we had price still way above forecast. That tells us it's still very bearish on crude, and even the current formation on crude right now is looking like a bearish setup. And this is a typical bearish setup where we get, I'll quickly pick up this tool, get something like this up, and then we go downwards. That's the expectation. Last time we were expecting us to see price bounce, so this was our last week analysis. It's still likely can happen, but we're just in that state. We're not certain what's going to happen or what's not going to happen next. So I'll leave that there for now. So if we get this correction or this movement where we find markets, working within this short-term flag, this is a bearish flag. If this happen and we break downwards, then there's a high possibility that we'll see price keep going downwards, because that would be below, this is our area of focus, this level here. So around 66.6 or 66.5. If we break out below that level, it's most likely indicates that we'll see price gets lower, trend towards lower price zones of 60 and below. But if that doesn't happen, for any reason, we get a breakout above here, following up this week, crude inventory report coming up on Wednesday. If that happens, then we may likely see price ascend higher. But there's also another resistance here, which is not really a strong um, a strong signal for us to be considering a buy, regardless of what happens around this price level here. But if that doesn't happen, then we get a breakup below, then we should look for the sell. Most likely we're getting the sell. All right, guys, that's mainly it for crude. I'm not going to go too much into the fundamental aspects. We're already still within the same discussion that we had last week, so I'm not going to go too much into that anymore. Now, the last trade we want to look, it's Bitcoin. So Bitcoin had a very funny or interesting price action movement last week. Checking on technical aspect, we saw this bullish flag, bullish divergence formation on Bitcoin. You know, saying here we had lower lows, right? And then we had higher lows on our indicator. That tells us that there's a bull divergence. And that's a good signal for us. It's been a while we saw such kind of signal. But this is the last time this happened, but this is not significant. So I'm not going to consider this as a factor. So last time we saw this happen, like when we had this major bearish divergence, we saw price drop down like really much. Same thing happened over here when we saw this bearish divergence here and here. We saw price drop down and following up with the the bullish divergence. So there's a high possibility that we could see price ascend higher this week towards back towards 100k. At least we should see price ascend towards that 98k range. I'm expecting that for this week, and I'm not expecting to see any bearish, like drop down. We've been consolidating around this level for quite a while, and I believe strongly that we should see price ascend towards the upper level of the RSI. That's around 70 RSI, and that should be towards around 100k thereabouts. So that's the major thing for Bitcoin this week. I'm working on a daily time frame, not much of the weekly. We can still look at that, but it's still same. We have a similar setup, and so we just have to be patient and watch what happens in the market and expect the best. So for this week, I'm expecting to see higher prices on Bitcoin. I'm expecting to see higher prices also on gold. Payouts to get a short-term pullback, but we should look towards higher prices on gold as well. And on US oil, I'm not optimistic or pessimistic. We're just within a support zone, which tells us anything can happen, anything can go wrong, right? So it depends on what happens this week from our fundamental reports from the crude oil inventory stock, and that would determine most likely where we see the direction of crude oil in the following weeks. But this is a very critical zone which we are right now. All right, guys, if I find this kind of helpful, please drop a comment section, your comments or your thoughts or your chat as well in the comment section below. And as well, I'd like to see you in our Discord community. Cheers.